Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty quick show for you guys here today, so we're not going to take a lot of your time. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the Dreamerspro Short Clips channel that we have linked in the comment section below. Anyway, let me get into this topic here now. This is a bit of a breaking story. I just actually found out about this about 30 minutes ago, and it obviously depends on when you see this particular show here. Now, as y'all know, JJ Reddick has quickly become one of the biggest voices in sports media as it pertains to the NBA, right? He came on the scene about, let me say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, about 2 years ago. And actually, when we got the news that JJ Reddick was going to be joining ESPN, we actually did a show about this. This is on the channel where we were talking about our excitement and just kind of looking forward to seeing what he was going to bring to the sports media landscape. And I think ever since he came into the game, he's played it very, very smart. He managed to leverage his his IP, basically getting his name out there. JJ Reddick, naming it the name of his podcast. He has a very, very big podcast. I think they're close to 1 million subscribers now on YouTube, The Old Man and the Three. And I think every time he goes on ESPN, he always brings some level of entertainment. Whether you agree with the guy or disagree with him, that's a different thing. But is he engaging? Is he entertaining? Absolutely. And he does his best to make sure he makes as much sense as possible. He's very well researched. You can tell that he's really into the X and O's of basketball, which brings me to this report that we're getting today. We actually saw on Instagram first, but it was first reported by Bleacher Report. So I actually saw the post on Instagram, then I quickly searched for it online, and I actually saw the full article here that we quickly want to read. But before we get into that, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Let me just quickly get into this article here. Starts off with the headlines. NBA rumors. JJ Reddick looked into by Raptors as potential head coaching candidate. As the Toronto Raptors continue their search for a new head coach, the franchise is reportedly eyeing a unique potential candidate. According to Michael Grange of Sportsnet, the Raptors have looked into the possibility of former NBA shooting guard and current ESPN analyst JJ Reddick being head coach material. But essentially, this is what this article is saying, right? That it turns out that JJ Reddick could be potentially becoming a head coach in the NBA. So here are my thoughts on this. I'm surprised and I'm not surprised. Let me tell you the reason I'm surprised. The reason I'm saying I'm surprised is that I think a lot of us are making a connection with JJ Reddick through sports media, through his takes on ESPN, through his interviews on The Old Man and the Three, right? The JJ Reddick podcast. So I think a lot of us connect with him on that level. And the interesting thing about sports media and television as a whole is that a lot of former athletes are now being known more for the shows that they appear on TV than their actual playing careers. This is something that 3-time Super Bowl winner, Hall of Fame Pro Bowler, Hall of Fame player in Shannon, Sharpe has said. He said a lot of people that approach him now aren't even aware that he's a former Hall of Fame player. Like, he played for the Denver Broncos. They don't even talk to him about that. In the Baltimore Ravens, they're like, we saw you on this show, right? So it shows you the power of television, right? Television can really take your popularity to a whole new level. So to me, I'm surprised because of that, because that's how I kind of connect with JJ Reddick, right? Through what he says in media, on television, and his podcast. So that's the first part. The part where I'm not surprised is the fact that they're looking into him as a coach, because obviously JJ Reddick is a former NBA player. He's someone that is able to explain basketball from an X and O standpoint very, very well. You can tell. You can tell that this guy really is into the nuances of basketball. That's number one. Number two, I think the other reason I'm not surprised is that he's a good communicator, which I believe is a skill that's highly valued when you're looking at a coaching candidate, right? Because you need someone that just doesn't, it's not enough for you to understand the sport. You also have to be able, in my opinion, to explain it. You also have to be able to relate to other players. And I think that by listening to JJ Reddick talk about basketball, you understand that he has the emotional intelligence to relate to basketball players, which I believe is something that's very important to NBA players. The fact that I think players can connect better with coaches that played basketball. For whatever reason, you don't need to be a championship head coach. No. I mean, you don't need to be a player that won multiple championships as an MVP. No. Because if that were the case, Steve Nash would have been a hell of a coach, right? But in this case, I think they connect more with guys that have actually gone through the rigors of an NBA season the way they have, because they can connect on a deeper level. It's the same thing you see with Ty Lue. Ty Lue connects with guys, even Phil Jackson, right? So former players, I believe, have kind of a leg up on some of the guys that did. Now, it's not saying that you need to be a former player, because I don't believe Greg Popovich was a former player, but he's still an excellent basketball coach, right? So one is not saying it's a prerequisite, but it's something that definitely works in your favor. And to me, I think this is a very, very interesting development for JJ Reddick's career trajectory, right? Because I don't know, maybe that was ultimately his goal, to become an NBA head coach. I don't know. And maybe he was kind of auditioning on television. I don't know this, but what an interesting turn of events. And this is what happens when I believe you become successful. Success breeds more success. More opportunities come to you, right? And I think given the fact that he had a platform to really exhibit his knowledge on basketball, I definitely believe helped. I 100% believe it helped his cause, right? So this is some very big news. Very, very big news that the Toronto Raptors are considering JJ Reddick as a potential head coach of their organization moving forward after, as y'all know, they just recently got rid of Nick Nurse. So the question is simply this. First of all, what are your initial feelings about this news? And number two, do you think JJ Reddick could be a great NBA head coach? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We'll catch you on the next show. Peace.